Michael and I met many, many years ago when Michael wanted to become a professional speaker, and we did a barter. He came along on my speakers boot camp. I'd just launched my book and messed up totally on a CNN interview, a Bloomberg interview, and the barter was going to be I would come along on his boot camp. Anyway, I went along there, and I thought I was pretty good until he ripped me to pieces and built me up again. And maybe we can just reenact that moment when I was on your course. What do you think, Michael?
Perhaps for old time's sake, Frank. So as a speaker booker, Frank, why is it that you top professional speakers charge outrageously high fees? And why is it that, for the audience's point of view, you're often a complete waste of time and money?
No way. We're not outrageously expensive. We're not a waste of time. We're not a waste. No way, we're not a waste at all. No way, Michael.
Yeah, you were better than that the first time last time, Frank, but...
You coached me on what to say tonight.
Yeah, what I've had to do this time is actually coach Frank how to do a bad answer. But thank you for doing that. So when we do that again in a moment, Frank, and this is the kind of way that Great Answers to Tough Questions works, is that you look at the content, you look at the structure and the delivery style. So let's with the delivery style. You were doing what I think some of Ronaldo's friends do sometimes when they're defending a goal. Yeah, they're standing like this, yeah, as if they're going to get hit somewhere very, very precious and dangerous, yeah.
And that's
Yeah, that's right. So you don't want to stand like that because you look defensive. So what I want is, like you do when you speak in 58 countries around the world, Frank, hands up and open. Ah, that's good, that's good. Yeah, pull yourself up to your full height. That's great. Yep, that's good, that's good. And for content, one of the golden rules is you don't repeat back negative words because words have power and you need to control the language. So when I said something like excessively expensive and waste of the audience's time, next time I don't want you to repeat those two back because I want you to say what you want to say in your powerful words. So instead of saying, we're not really expensive, just say, not at all, or that's not correct, or perhaps even the opposite. It's the opposite of that, something like that. So you need to answer it. Then you need to, what we say, bridge, which is to just once you've dealt with the question, you're allowed to move on because you've got the license under normal rules of conversation to say a little bit more. So what you say is something like, what's really important for speaker bookers like you to understand is, and then you get across your message, which you're allowed to do because unlike some sleazy politicians, you've already answered the question. Yeah? So then you can say something else. What do you say? Your key message, which is something surely, Frank, about the great value that you and other top professional speakers like Roger Harrop, deliver. Yeah? Yeah, you got that? Yeah, and then dangle an example. Yeah? Dangle is like another little bridge. It's just a few words that allow you to say there's something really good coming up. So it's usually a really good example of that is, and you need to find out of all the speaking engagements you've done, Frank, in 58 countries, what is one where, the people listened and actually did what you said, and actually the company was better off because of your visit, yeah? So you end on the example because you can't argue with an example. And people will often say, will you come and do that for me? Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question again. And no pressure here, Frank, but I expect you to do a lot better, yeah? Normally we give a score in the sessions, so I think Frank probably got about 1.5 out of 10. And so it's a bit like a Vistage group or a tech group in Australia or a Academy for Chief Executives group or an ABLE group, those great chief executive groups. Thank you, Peter. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Let's see if we can do even better, Frank, yeah? So, Frank, as a speaker booker, isn't it outrageous that you charge such ridiculous amounts of money and the effect you have on the audience, obviously, sometimes, is really awful?
Actually, Michael, it's quite the opposite. In fact, for sales directors like yourself that want to book me to come and speak at your sales conference, there's great value, there's great return on investment. Let me give you an example of your own company. You've got 500 people coming to the conference. I'm charging £5,000 for it, so it's basically £10 per person to come to that. If they just put into place one or two ideas that I'll be sharing during the training or the speaking, they'll be able to return a minimum of £100. So you're getting a £50,000 return on £5,000. That's not too bad, is it, Michael?
Will you sign the contract, Frank?
And a great example to finish with here was actually Virgin Atlantic that I worked with many, many years ago after I'd been on Michael's course. They came up with the same thing on how expensive it was going to be. 3 months after I'd worked with them, I was working with all their check-in clerks, getting the people to upsell, people coming to check in. 3 months later, I got an email saying that sales had gone up 70%. So do you want to book me, Michael?
I do, yeah. Frank, you don't charge enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Furness. Well done, well done. I think we probably scored the second one about 9.5. So well done, Frank.